If you do anything outdoors, chances are you'll have a headlamp or two spread across all your different gear bags and maybe in a jacket pocket. A good headlamp will help you navigate in the dark, allow you to work on a project with both hands, and should also remain securely in place while you're doing an adventure. In this video, we'll take a look at the brand new Nitecore NU33, and I'll tell you why it's a great contender to light up your next adventure. But before we get to the whole review, I just want to disclose that I did receive this flashlight for free to review from Nitecore. But that being said, the observations presented here in this video are my very own, and I'll try to remain as objective as possible. Being designed for running, hiking, camping, and other outdoor pursuits, the NU33 has the versatility of 3 separate emitters in one compact and robust package. The body of the main light is constructed with a durable hard anodized aluminum housing, which serves double purpose as a heat sink. It has an IP66 rating, making the NU33 robust to stand up to the dust, rain, and maybe a brief submersion. The light's headband is simple, effective, and has reflective branding across the band, which should help with nighttime visibility, especially if you're running or biking at night. When rolled up, this headlamp becomes even more carryable and compact in the pocket and tucks away to a nice small size. On the top side of the light, you'll find a main power button that toggles the main emitter on and off, as well as a secondary mode button to cycle through all 3 emitters. While the general user interface may seem pretty straightforward at first glance, it does have a few hidden secrets and capabilities that make it substantially more user-friendly. The first of which is a lockout mode that makes sure that you don't inadvertently turn on the light in your pack or your pocket. The second UI feature is the ability to access the auxiliary LEDs by double-clicking the power button for the flood or by pressing and holding the mode button for the red LEDs. A double click of the mode button enables the SOS mode, and a further click of the mode button turns on the beacon mode. As far as the NU33's brightness settings go, starting with the flood emitter, we have ultra low at 6 lumens for 147 hours and 50 lumens at 47 hours. The primary LEDs modes are mid at 60 lumens for 38 hours, high for 200 lumens at 9 hours, and turbo at 700 lumens for 4 hours. Finally, the red LED shines at 13 lumens for 26 hours and flashing at 13 lumens for 50 hours. The light's triple TIR optic projects a moderately wide hotspot with a gradual fall off and a very usable broad spill. This prevents nighttime tunnel vision. The auxiliary flooded optic has approximately 100-degree beam, which is ideal for close-up work and area lighting. The red LED has a little bit more prominent hotspot than the flood optic, but relatively the same angle as that white flood beam. On the side of the light, you'll find the light's 4 indicator lights, which makes it really easy to know when it's time to recharge its internal lithium-ion battery via the light's built-in USB-C port. This takes approximately an hour and a half to recharge from completely empty. With all those details and specifications out of the way, it's time to talk about things I really love about this light and a couple other things that I think Nitecore could tweak to make this light even better. On the top of the list of things I really love about this light is the wide high CRI flood optic, which is honestly the mode that I use over any other, and the thing that I really think distinguishes this light apart from all the others in the same price category. High CRI LEDs render a broader spectrum of color, meaning that colors are more vivid and more accurately reproduced. They also tend to be a little bit warmer color tint than your normal LED, which means that they're less strain inducing for prolonged use or use when it's really dark. I've also even used this in a pinch as a separate fill light when I'm doing photos or video. While this little flood optic is nearly perfect in use, I really think that Nitecore limited its capabilities by only having 2 brightness settings on this particular emitter. If they would have added a third mode that's a little bit brighter at about 50 lumens, I think it would have better filled the gap between the close and long distance use of this light and would have made it even more useful overall. The next thing I think Nitecore did exceptionally well is the user interface and the button layout. You can access any of the 3 LEDs without having to remember any sort of complex Morse code combinations or cycling through all the blinky settings or different emitters just to get to the one you want. The buttons are also very nice and tactile, and you can access them easily even while wearing heavy winter gloves. Overall, the buttons are fantastic. Non-user replaceable batteries can be a divisive topic, which I'll touch on a little bit later, but thankfully keeping this battery charged and topped up is nice and easy thanks to the inclusion of a modern USB-C charging port and a charge indicator on the side. While this headlamp may not break any output records on paper, I really appreciate Nitecore's more conservative approach to laying out the settings, which tend to focus more on longer run times. 200 regulated lumens for 9 hours is significantly better than most of the other headlamps out there on the market, which tend to focus on high outputs and ramp down over time. Lastly, while this is a minor detail, the battery port cover uses a composite and silicone construction, making the cover much less prone to snagging and significantly easier to pick open with the tip of your finger, especially when you have cold hands. As I mentioned before, this battery will be a deal breaker for some of you watching. Over time, all lithium-ion batteries will tend to degrade and will eventually cut to the point where they no longer hold a usable amount of charge. At the end of this battery's life, you really don't have very many options aside from throwing away this light and buying a new one. As far as I know, Nitecore or pretty much any other company out there do not offer any replacement services for any of their non-user replaceable batteries. This also poses a slight problem when you've run out of charge in the field, as you can't slot in a new battery and keep going. According to my testing, however, you can use the lower modes while charging. I've found a 90-degree plug adapter allows me to keep wearing this headlamp while charging and keeping that cable away from my face. Just be aware that the light's waterproofing will be compromised when the port cover is off. While this headlamp is generally outstanding, there are still some relatively minor issues that I think could be addressed to make the NU33 even better. My first issue is with the headband. The gap in these adjustable buckles is very wide and they simply don't grab onto the material very securely. This makes inadvertently loosening the headlamp when putting it on or taking it off just too easy, and I'm finding myself needing to readjust it way too frequently. This headband material is also very good at absorbing sweat and becoming saturated, especially while doing highly aerobic activities such as running. This, combined with a lack of a silicone strip on the inside and the overall weight from the metal housing, means this light can slide and move around during athletic movements. On longer runs, I've had minor soreness develop on the top of my brow from the lower edge of this light constantly bouncing against it. Thankfully, this was relatively easily remedied by adding a small strip of thin foam. All that being said, these shouldn't be a big issue for most users, and you'll find this to be pretty comfortable overall. The last and biggest issue I have is with the single constant mode on the red LED. It's simply too dang bright to be really useful in any circumstance. Honestly, I think this would have been much more useful if it was more like the flood LED and had a ultra low and a slightly higher output setting. As it is, the ultra low on the flood optic is less bright and is better to use overall at night. Honestly, the only real use I have for this red LED is putting it on the flashing mode and mounting it to my backpack for a rear-facing red flashing light when I'm biking at night. Overall, the NU33 is a very strong performer in the outdoor headlamp market and a great choice for someone looking for a compact and rechargeable adventure headlamp. In all, for under $50, despite its flaws, it's still one of the better headlamps out there in the beginning of 2023. Thank you all so much for watching, and I would like to extend my gratitude to the kind folks over at Nitecore for sending me this headlamp to review. If you want to see more gear reviews and flashlight videos, check out my page. Otherwise, I'll see you in the next video, and as always, stay safe out there.